Hey everybody, it's Friday night, and guess what time it is? It's time for another mock draft. It's good for your health. It's good for your mind. It's just good all the way, goodly, goop, goop, goop. And in saying that, I realized I forgot to do one thing. Welcome, Bill. How are you?
It has been one heck of a week. A lot has happened. Shout out to my lovely lady friend's little cousin, uh, DeAndre Price, who ran 4.38, I believe, today at the combine.
Woo-hoo. Woo. Uh-oh. Something happened to your voice, Mr. Carroll.
When you say happened to, could you be more specific?
Well, I can hear you now. I couldn't for about until you said that.
Oh,
It
okay.
was like, hey, where is he at? So that's why I say that. Yeah. Okay. Beware. All right, and we say NFL Combine 224. Hashtag NFL Combine. Hashtag NFL Draft. Hashtag NFL. Just NFL. All right. And hashtag live stream there. Got it. We are up and Adam and okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Now we's out of there. Okay. Now. All right. What are we doing, folks? Oh, and I'm putting this over here on Facebook. Posting, right? Come on. Open says me. Those characters. Wait a minute. There you go. They're sharing the post. Why? There was an error sharing the post. I'm having all these errors all of a sudden. It's not cool. Hold on a second. What is on your mind, Zennie? Let me see. I'm just trying to share my mock drafts. Let me do it this way. So there, like so. And go scroll down. And next, show you pages. Sharing as Zennie. Yeah, this is weird. Oh, I can? I didn't know that. Wait a minute. All right. This is weird. Sorry, Bill. Facebook is being weird tonight.
Okay.
Algorithmically weird. I expect to. It seems like every time I go someplace, all of a sudden, it acts. I don't know why. It's like this is a weird thing today. All right. Boom. And yay! Something worked. Okay. Woohoo! 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 Victory! 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 I claim victory. All right. Now I can close that, everybody, and then close this. Hey, everybody watching! Nice to have you here. Bill has his latest version of, no, well, not his cough, but his NFL draft top players. All you have to do is go to NFL News by Zennie62.com, and when you go there, you will see at the front, as you can see, voila, ta-da, there it is, NFL draft logo equipped. All you gotta do is press on it, his top players, which I'm going to use, say, for a couple of minor adjustments or major adjustments, depending on your point of view. I can do that. It's a free country, but it's there, emblazoned up on the front next to the couple battling it out about the combine or saying something. Whatever. Okay. And then we'll also go to ta-da, the other that counts here. And Chicago Bears are on the clock. But before we do that, we have to determine who's going to pick first, which means the ceremonial coin toss. Mr. Carroll.
Back to that. Okay, here we go.
Yes. Since I'm doing digital and you're analog.
Yeah. Yes. Well, the coin is certainly analog. Well, the coin is certainly analog. Okay, well, call it.
Heads.
Heads. Okay.
Heads.
And it is tails. I don't know if you can see. Where's the?
Is it a two-tailed coin?
It is not a two.
It's a two-tailed coin.
It is not. It is. There's the.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. That's heads. That's tails, and it came up tails. But I don't care who goes first.
Yeah. So, folks,
so,
now we're up. There's Bill's got the first. Oh, so now you're like you won the toss.
I mean,
so you're putting me, and I'm on defense, and now you're basically saying
I'm fine with either one. So if you want to go first,
you want the ball for the second half, right?
I'm happy with either one.
Oh, what's going on here?
I'm fine either way. So just let me know what your preference is.
My preference is for the winner of the coin toss first.
Okay, well then I will go first then. So if the Bears are indeed on the clock, and I assume we're not having any trades in this particular scenario?
No.
Okay. So if there are no trades...
I hate trades.
Oh, okay. Well, there's no trades in this particular scenario, then I will be the Bears on the clock, and I will
not that I hate
Harrison. I gotcha. And I will take Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's the best player in the draft, and I think he's the one with the least chance of busting, least chance of being a disappointment. So that's the player I'll take.
I think that's actually what's going to happen. Right there. Bears. Okay. That comes to the Commanders and me. And I can't. This is a piece of cake. Caleb Williams to the Commanders, where he gets reunited with Cliff Kingsbury and goes on which should be a solid coaching staff. Very exciting. And he'll probably throw a bunch of interceptions his first year, but then he'll excite the crowd too. So there you go. To be expected with a Cliff Kingsbury offense. I don't expect ball control. Just saying. What say you about that?
Well, it makes sense for a bunch of reasons. As was mentioned, Washington needs to win back their own fan base. Has there been a more consistently unhappy fan base for the last 10 years than Washington?
Nope. And for justifiable reasons.
And for justifiable reasons. They had a terrible owner. They had a very poor stadium experience. Like, all the little check boxes were bad, right? The on-field product wasn't good. The ownership was poor. The stadium experience was poor. Like, everything negative. Now you get a chance to
I heard the Blues was good. That's about it. So
now you get an opportunity to get a young man who grew up right in the area. A lot of people there watched him play in high school. And he's extremely talented. While there's some things about his game that concern me a bit, he is extremely talented. He is used to carrying a team. And frankly, it'll be a little less asked of him, even in Washington, than it was at USC. They put everything on him. When you watch USC on tape, so many of the especially like third and long or whatever situations are essentially, okay, Caleb, go make something happen. And I think being in a situation where they have good skill position talent. Now, there's some problems in Washington, obviously, but they have 2 or 3 very good young wide receivers. They have an aging tight end, but still productive. Their offensive line is a mishmash, but he's used to that. He's coming from a USC offensive line that was nothing special. That team gives him an opportunity to turn that franchise around. I think in a couple of years, if they draft well, which is a big if, that team could be right back to being in contention in the NFC East.
All right. So now we come to the third pick in the 2024 NFL draft. The Bears have selected Marvin Harrison. And then, of course, the Commanders selected Caleb Williams. And now we come to number 3, the New England Patriots. And that falls to you, Bill.
Yeah, well, the Patriots are thrilled that they have a chance to find their quarterback of the future. They had attempted to do so with one Michael McCorkle-Jones. It did not exactly work out. He is currently on what they call the trading block. And now they get to go after someone who, when you look at sort of all the game manager-ish qualities that Michael McCorkle-Jones had, that didn't quite pan out because, frankly, they didn't have the talent around him to allow him to manage the situation. They now are going to take a swing for the fences and go after a guy in Drake May who is a terrific athlete, has a huge arm, and is just a completely different style of quarterback. So Michael McCorkle-Jones sort of was a guy that was very buttoned down and, went out there to try to not lose you the game. Now you have someone who, while once again, you look at the South Carolina game, there's some games on tape that may scare you a little bit, but he makes even in his worst game, he makes 2 or 3 absolute wow plays that very few players could ever dream of making. So they're now going to go upside as opposed to when you draft a guy like Michael McCorkle-Jones, you're drafting because even though his ceiling isn't very high, but he has a very high floor. Like the floor and the ceiling are very close together. Now you're going after somebody, well, the floor is lower, but the ceiling is hundreds of percentile higher.
Bust.
And we shall see.
Yeah. At that level, that's Mac Jones, the deuce. Deuce. Mac Jones deuce. And the reason why I say that, folks,
he's so much more talented than Mac Jones. So it's not even comparable.
This is why I say this guy is another Will Levis, except that people are buying his stuff, whereas Will was yapping a little bit too much and it took himself out of the running and then had to literally go through this several-month course before he was ready for prime time. Both of them have one thing in common. It's called the air raid offense. And I don't care what anybody says. The air raid offense is the biggest fooler in the world. And I love the air raid offense, and that's why I speak about it that way from this perspective, not from the perspective of how much damage it can do to a defense, but from the damage it can do to the NFL draft and quarterback evaluation, because by its nature, the air raid offense calls for deep passing. It calls for downfield attack. It is not known for ball control in the way it was originally designed, and a purist rollout of it, with it adhering to that, causes one thing: sloppy passing. And that has really led to the downfall of the passing game as we've went through the years and produced some god-awful, non-ball control offenses. In other words, offenses that don't have an accurate representation of quarterback drop back with respect to receiver pattern. And then also, as there's a popular term today, answers for exotic blitzes. So no, Drake May will be a disaster at this level. He will not do as well as people can think. And there will be a controversy by the end of the year about why he was drafted so high. Now, on the other hand, here's the good thing about Drake May that could come out of this wash, okay? He does improvise well. And he can run exceptionally well. But even then, if you heard that pause in my voice, it was for one reason. The dude turns the ball over 4 times, 4 turnovers in his last game. Actually, if you count it up, 7 turnovers in his last 2 games. Okay? And of those 7 turnovers, he lost the ball 6 times. Those were his last games, folks. So now he's not throwing at the combine. Bad sign. Michael Penix is. Great sign. And, well, I just said my piece, and onward through the fog, which this certainly is, the fog of New England and the fog of NFL draft war. Now, why did I think of my inner Bear Carroll when I said that? Why did I think of my inner Bill Chackers when I said that?
Because we both have read von Clausewitz. That's why.
Yeah. So, next, that brings us to dun, 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 the Arizona Cardinals and me. Okay? So, since Bill has taken Drake May, not that I was going to take him anyway, but I am looking at the Bill Carroll big board and trying to see where I'm at with respect to that. And I believe, well, I don't care who has what board. This is the guy you got to take. I mean, now some people say Malik Neighbors, but you know what? I'm going Rome Odunze. 6'3", 201, as opposed to 6 feet 201. The dude was, a home wrecker. He wrecked a lot of homes, especially became on the way to becoming Pac-12 champion. You got to love this guy. You just got to love this guy. Rome Odunze. Everybody's like, he fixed him over. What did he just do? Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I did it. Yeah. What do you think, Bill? Ha ha! I did it.
He's a fun player, and with the exception of deep speed, he has pretty much everything else you want in that position.
Size.
He's got size, right? I mean, I'm agreeing. He has size. I mean, like I said, the difference between him and some of the other guys is just he won't just pull away from people the same way that some of the other guys will. But he has long arms, big hands. He's unafraid of contact. He, plays tough at the catch point. He knows where to be on the field to be available to his quarterback and how to box guys out. So he's got that classic sort of big body mentality and big body way of playing that allows him to, even though he might not gain a lot of separation, he's good at getting the ball in contested catch situations.
All right, so now we come to the Los Angeles Chargers, and hey, Bill Carroll.
Yeah, well, the Chargers desperately need a lot of things, but they're thrilled to see that Joe Alt is still available. So now they take Rashawn Slater and pair him. So they have 2 young elite tackles. And when you have those 2 young elite tackles bookend-wise, it means you're not worried about sliding protection. You're not worried about having to get exotic in what you do with your line calls. You can now simply worry about shoring up the interior because in your 2 tackles, they are good enough that even against elite level pass rushers, they will rarely need help. And that frees you up to do all kinds of things as an offensive play caller. And they also want to run the ball more and better. And Alt's a terrific run blocker too. So you drop Joe Alt on one side, you have Slater on the other side, you may kick Slater to the right and have Alt on the left, or vice versa. Both guys will excel no matter where you place them.
Joe Alt to the Chargers. Good, solid choice. And that brings us to the G-Men, the New York Giants. Needs with defensive tackle, running back, inside offensive line, edge, and offensive tackle. That's a lot of needs. And that brings that to me. So I will definitely, taking another look at this in terms of need, I will definitely send them Oyulima Fashanu out of Penn State. The other offensive tackle, you could have went either way with that one, Bill.
Yeah.
But this is a Giant pick. This is a New York Giants style pick. I have visions of who was our friend that was at the draft that was a New Yorker who was a Giants fan and wrote about the Giants and stuff.
We have a few friends who match that description,
He was a
but
teacher. He was a teacher.
you're not talking about Bill again, are you?
Who?
You're not about Bill Chakas again, I hope not, because Bill was a teacher and Bill was a Giants fan.
No, the other fellow that was a Giants fan and a teacher.
Okay, well, I know a few people who match that description, so I'm just thinking, well, to whom you could be referring. Let me think.
Not Bill, but he was close to us.
Okay, let me think.
Uh, just a heck of a great dude. He stopped doing because his wife was getting upset that they weren't making enough money.
Ah, yes, well, I get that. Let me think about who you could be talking about. But yeah, if you're doing it for the money, you probably need to find another reason.
Well, I did promise him I thought we were going to get funded, so I take some blame for that. But
Oh,
look, media companies get funded, things happen,
sure.
and then they don't. But anyway, I was thinking of him because this fellow, he always had this type for the Giants. This is his kind of pick. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So anyway, moving along, we have after the G-men, the Titans, with needs at tackle, cornerback, wide receiver, edge, and running back. And Bill, you're up.
Yes. Where don't they have needs? Yeah, they could use some of everything. So practically everything. But the good news is that one of their needs is wide receiver. And they are thrilled to see that Malik Neighbors is still available to them. So now they gained their wide receiver one that they have been without since the loss of Arthur Brown Jr. via trade to the Eagles. And now they plug that hole. Now they have a legitimate guy who can work at three levels. He can run those crossers and slants. He can run, those digs and outs, and he can run those posts. He can run those, shake routes and deep corner routes and over routes. He can hit you at all three levels.
Who is it?
Malik Neighbors, wide receiver from from Louisiana State University.
Yeah. Malik Neighbors, Titans. Cool. All right. So Will Levis has a target, or
Yes,
a new target, I should say.
Desperately needed.
And that brings us to the Falcons. Biggest needs: quarterback, wide receiver, edge, cornerback. Okay, defensive tackle. Okay, so now here, the last time we did the draft, I took Drake May, but he's gone early. And so I'm looking around and I'm thinking, all right, there's a possibility of getting my guy in free agency like Jameis Winston. Okay. But I'm thinking, what do I want to do with this? So this is a nod to quite possibly the performance of this person's life on Saturday. But I'm going to tell you what, I think that with all the Falcons' needs, particularly in these areas, they really should get Brock Bowers. And then pick up their quarterback in free agency. So I'm not of the opinion that a quarterback needs to go here. The Falcons have ran through enough quarterbacks.
Right. Yeah.
It's getting a little ridiculous. So Brock Bowers stays home. Falcons.
Well, I think that'll be a controversial pick for obviously because people don't want a quarterback, but Bowers is immensely popular in the area, so that'll maybe take some of the sting out of it for those that are looking for.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And now we come to, in the draft order, the Bears and Bill Carroll. What say you, Bill?
Yeah. So the Bears get a chance to add a position where they have some fairly significant needs. And this is a team that has gone without at certain positions for a while. The good news, right, is that they've largely fixed one of those holes with their first pick, and now they can jump to the other side of the ball and fix another hole with their next pick. And I don't know if there is a better player at this particular position available in the draft class. I see that I would sort of, as I say, sprint to the podium to take Quinyon Mitchell, who I think has a chance to be a special corner. I think he has a chance to be a guy that goes to, 6 or 7 Pro Bowls and could be a 3 or 4 time All Pro. He has hips and feet that are amongst the top 5 or 6 at his position over the past 5 or 6 years. Right? He's a willing tackler. Not a devastating tackler, but a willing tackler. But where he excels is his ability to stay in phase, even against double moves. I mean, to see how well he covers, even when there's double moves being made, all kinds of things. He sees the ball and finds the ball. He doesn't get lost in terms of being able to keep that triangle where you can not only keep your proper leverage on the receiver, but also still have a sense where the ball is and make a play on the ball also. He knows how to look and lean, as they say. He knows how to get that subtle little tug without getting flagged for it. But like I said, most importantly, his ability to turn and burn, right? To, at high speed, change direction without losing, that forward momentum, right? He's able to keep moving quickly while making sharp movements. That's special.
And then we come to the New York Jets. Biggest needs: offensive tackle, wide receiver, safety, defensive tackle, and quarterback. When it comes to me, the Jets need a real bona fide home run hitter. Someone who will make Jets fans forget about Wilson and then say, well, gee, a quarterback? Oh, there's no one possibly. Wait a minute. Maybe there is. Someone that will hold the spot, and yet when Eric Rodgers does come back, make him work for his starting job real hard. And so I can think of no one better to fill this position than, quite simply, the man who is about to dominate and rule and remind everybody that he is still indeed a champion, and that is Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. is the underrated talent of the NFL draft, one of my favorite players, a guy that I believe will be put in this position and excel at it in an offense coached by Nathaniel Hackett. I can't wait to see what Michael Penix does in it. He will shock the world. Ta-da! Surprise! But I stand by this.
Well, I mean, he's a fine player, and he's a guy that will go, I think, fairly early. I don't know if he'll go this early just because, once again, a combination of age and injury concern may push him down a little bit, but his tape is magnificent.
Yeah, there was a guy that fit that bill that wound up playing for the Cowboys. Came out, he was 24 when he was drafted, yet they drafted him high. Whose name just flew out of my window, and that's what I was thinking about. Age and injury issues are countered by the fact that this guy, unlike Drake May, is a Pac-12 champion. Drake May played in championship games, but he didn't win, and arguably he lost. And so, to me, this man should be rated over Drake May, not just for that reason, but also the fact that he's not a turnover machine. And yeah, did he have a great game against Michigan? No. Why? because Washington had a game plan that was so awful that it was used as toilet paper by Napoleon in the war. And there's no reason to hold it to that young man. He played his heart out. He literally tried to will, and this is what endeared me to him. I was already endeared to him because he had kicked Cal's butt a few times, but I was more endeared to him when he just fought like a champion to overcome a bad offensive game plan and literally try to will a comeback against Michigan when seemingly all was lost. And he played his own wheels off, literally. He really did. And so I want that kind of effort. I want when all the chips are down, I want a guy out there who's not going to play like the chips are down. I want a guy who's going to play like the chips are up, like the cards are his, and he's got nothing to lose. Michael Penix Jr. Now, maybe he goes out of my game plan a little bit, but you know what? With that kind of arm, who could throw on a dart, I'll take it. I'll take it. And there we go. Next. Let's see here. Minnesota Vikings. This is where Drake May should have gone. And I think realistically will go. Quarterback, edge, offensive guard, linebacker, defensive tackle, and now it comes to Bill Carroll. Bill?
Yeah. There are lots of possible players that could land here. I think that based on what I have seen from Minnesota, what I know of Minnesota, I think that the player maybe that they go for here is one Mr. J.J. McCarthy from Michigan. And he's a Midwestern kid. I got to see him, though he finished his high school career in Florida. His first 2 years, I got to see him here. He's from the northwest suburbs of Chicago. And he's a mobile guy. He hasn't been asked to do a lot in the offense he was in. They were able to just pound teams to death a lot of times in the run game. And so he wasn't always asked to do a tremendous amount. But he did play a lot of times his best games when it was needed, and in the big games. He's a project, so they're going to need to give him time. He's not going to be a day one starter, but they think he'll be a guy that is a starter for 12 or 13 years, or maybe even more. Once he's also one of the youngest players in the draft. I don't think he's even turned 21 yet. So teams prize that. They prize getting guys when the sort of the bloom is still on the rose, as they say, and that's one of the many reasons a lot of teams are enamored with young Mr. J.J. McCarthy.
Right. So that's pick 11. And you're going to pick 12. Denver Broncos. I need to check on my mom real quick, Bill. I'll be right back, okay?
All right. I'll be right here.
So, Bill, tell us, take a little time if you would tell the reviewers about, and I'll put it up here, your board here as I present it, your new board at our new.
Yep. Which will continue to evolve. Obviously, the combine is still ongoing, but
it looked like Godzilla over the years.
Right, and so after the combine, it'll look a little different. But this was coming off of the All-Star Game, Senior Bowl, East-West Shrine.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
NFLPA and Hula and HBCU Legacy Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So based off of what I had witnessed there and what I had found out from my conversations with people who are plugged into various college programs about the best players on their campuses and the best against whom they played. The good news about this draft is I think it has a nice gentle slope, with the exception of the tight end position. That's the one position where there's like one guy way up here and then a big giant gap. But at quarterback, corner, running back, wide receiver, pass rusher, D tackle, basically all of the positions, there's a gentle slope from the very top tier all the way sort of gently down all the way to the end of the draft. where there's not a huge gap, with that tight end position being the big exception, between the very best player and the next player, and even the players in the middle of the pack. It's a gentle slope in terms of the talent and ability level. Once again, the tight end position being the obvious exception to that. So if you need a dominant tight end, you've got one option and you need to take him early. But at every other position, you get more than one bite at the apple. If you need a quarterback, you've got 3 or 4 guys I think could be potentially be starters in the NFL. 2 that I pretty much sure have a good chance just based on talent level. Both of whom could be up and down in some of the things I like and dislike on tape, but they're both young, super talented. And then, Zennie and I both like Michael Penix. Zennie season being taken much earlier than I think will actually happen, because I know how a little bit more maybe how NFL teams tend to think and evaluate when it comes to age and injury. But he's a terrific player. He's going to find his way into the league. He's going to go later probably than Zennie thinks, but he's going to find his way into the league and find his way to to contribute. The guy that will go probably earlier than a lot of people think is J.J. McCarthy, who in this exercise went 11. He could go 12 or 11. I think that's probably the top for him. And I don't think he makes it, past the mid-teens. That's a team, once again, the Patriots might even be considering him. I mean, that's where the marketplace now is on him. But I think he'll settle in, to me, somewhere just outside of the top 10. Jaden Daniels is probably going to go soon after this, in the real draft. I don't know where he'll go in our exercise, but he would go somewhere between. I don't think he would make it past the late teens or early 20s. Could go as early as 12. If McCarthy goes 11, it's conceivable that Jaden Daniels could go 12. And then to me, there's a gap. I think that the other quarterbacks are more likely high quality backups. I think Spencer Rattler has talent, but we've seen a lot of inconsistency. Did he improve his final year at South Carolina? Yes. Like, it was by far his best football. Did Bo Nix really improve his last year at Oregon? Yes. But once again, Nix is an older guy. There's questions about just sort of how much more ceiling there is. I think he has a chance to be a starter in certain situations, but at worst case scenario, a high level backup. And then once you get past those 2 guys, I think it's another gap. And then everyone left at the quarterback position is either a talented but kind of messy project, or a low ceiling, career backup type. So, that's the sort of downward slope we talk about. Then at the running back position, I think there's a clump at the top where you could have any one of 5 or 6 guys at number 1 as your running back, and it wouldn't seem crazy. I think that there's nothing close to a consensus running back, but so many good running backs that whoever ends up being the first running back taken, it won't seem, wild or crazy or unexplainable, right? Could Benson go first? Yes. Could Audric Estime go first? Sure. I mean, there's a long list of guys that conceivably could go first. Braylon Allen, why not? Once again, super young. Another guy who I think is still 20. I have to check on his birthday to be sure, but I think he might not even be legal to drink. And that big body, a guy that clearly loves the game, wants to be good, at times had sort of too much pressure put on him by the lack of quarterback talent that he played with at Wisconsin. And, everyone knew he was coming. But yes, he is 20 years of age, and he's barely 20 years of age. I thought he might be the youngest player in the whole entire draft, but he is barely 20 years old. And when you look at him, I mean, he is a grown man physically, but such a young player that it's exciting, to know that you're getting an opportunity to shape and mold a player who's barely 20 years old. Let's see. As I mentioned, there is sort of a big old gap in the tight end position, but there's a chance for one of those second-tier tight ends, whether it be Jaheim Bell, whether it be, there's a whether it be Ben Sinnott, whether it be, there's a few guys, that I think have a chance, and we'll see, sort of where they go and what they do. But There's huge guys like Span Ford. There's I like Theo Johnson, right? He's a guy that I think could become a starter. Jatavian Sanders is most people's number 2 tight end, and while he's no Brock Bowers, I think he's going to be an NFL starter. And then once you get past maybe the top 3 to 5 guys, they're mostly tight end 2 types. I think Tip Ryman has a chance to be something, but most likely, sort of that other tight end, the guy that you put in on your field in your 2 tight end situations. Jaheim Bell's just a fascinating situation because he's not 6'2". He's 6'1" and I think 7/8, and I think he came in about 244. So some teams will think of him as a fullback or H-back as opposed to a true tight end. He comes down to essentially what you think you're seeing when you watch him. I think that the other guys are, like I said, I think A.J. Barner has a chance to be that tight end too. I think that McLaughlin, I think his name has a chance to be that tight end too. The other one that I think has a chance to maybe work his way into being a starter amongst the tight ends is Ben Sanat. But he's another guy that some people think might be an H-back. So it comes down to a little bit also what you see and think schematically about the tight end position. Do you need a tight end to be 6'5"? Or are you okay with him being almost 6'2" or 6'3" and change? And some teams are. I mean, one of the big reasons that George Kittle, in addition to the way he was used in Iowa, the other reason he slipped down is he came in at 6'2" and 5/8. And there are some teams that don't even consider you a real tight end if you're less than 6'3". So he just missed it, right? 3/8 of an inch. But some teams had him listed as a, H-back or possible fullback conversion. As crazy as that sounds, as we look back on what Kittle was, and you think of a guy like Dallas Clark who's a little bit bigger, but you think about a guy like Dallas Clark and the success he had, and you look at Kittle, who's essentially a more explosive and slightly less sane version, and slightly shorter version of Dallas Clark in the career he's had. But there are teams that have actual guidelines on height, weight, and speed. They have actual, or guardrails is another term some teams use, where if you're going to deviate from these particular guidelines, protocols, or guardrails, you better have a very good explanation. Because when you come in as a scout, if you're an area scout or a cross-check guy or a national scout, you come in and you say, okay, I know that we don't touch guys in the first 100 picks who are whose arms are this below this level, or are below this height at their position, or ran slower than we like, or a variety of things it could be. You better explain. You better really explain why we should break our own rules, deviate from our own policy, and go with a player. And as every GM says, you don't want a team that's built on exceptions. You don't mind having the occasional exception, but exceptions should be that. It should be exceptional. You want your team to be based on guys that sort of fit your parameters and guidelines. A few other positions I do feel like I should mention, and I think there's some good players to be had at a variety of places, even going into some of the second level, third level guys. At tight end, Trent, no relation Penix from NC State's a guy that probably is on that bubble between, late third day and undrafted free agency. Watch out for Joey Gatewood from Louisville. He has a chance. And Penix is one of those guys also could be seen as a fullback by some people. And Neil Johnson from Louisiana, another guy who could be seen as that guy might translate to fullback. It's a good offensive line class. Not as deep in some positions as maybe some of the historically deep ones, but a solid one. I'll give you a name to watch out for day 3 is Darnell Simpson from Tulsa. He's one of those guys that I think could be a very interesting developmental piece over time. He has some qualities, some developmental qualities just based on his combination of physical skills and the rather aggressive, forceful way he played. And then he is an extremely large human being. He may be, in terms of when you combine height and weight, maybe the biggest, certainly one of the biggest players in the entire draft class. But despite that,
sorry, go ahead.
but despite that, he's not immobile, and that's a guy that's probably a late day 3 guy. Once again, we'll see if he, maybe pushes his way up by having a really good pro day. But I see Zennie has now, of course, returned, and we can pick back up where we left off.
Yes, I'm back. Thank you, Bill. And I will go back and, of course, swap out screens. And we will, as the Squire of Gothos would say, have at it again. Bill, do you know who the Squire of Gothos happens to be?
Oh, Zennie, this is how we lose our audience. But
yeah, by that, that's how we lose our audience.
Well,
gotcha.
Perhaps that as well. Touche.
Star Trek, third season.
Yes.
The episode "The Squire of Gothos," who, after realizing that he, for a time, lost the magic behind the wall, he regained it. And in battle with Kirk and Swords, he said, yes, let's have at it again. Yeah. Now, as we shall right now, with the draft order, we left off at the Denver Broncos. And I believe, let's see here, prior to the Broncos, let's do the quick recap of where we are. The Minnesota Vikings is where we were. And they got J.J. McCarthy. And prior to that, Michael Penix went to the Jets. Michael Penix Jr. And the Bears had Kenyon Mitchell. And Brock Bowers, the Falcons. Malik Neighbors went to the Titans. Mr. Fashanu went to the Giants. Hey, Bill, how do you pronounce his first name?
Oluwayu, I believe. I have to look at it again.
I don't know.
Hold on. I'll tell you in a second.
Okay. While he's figuring it out, Joel Alt to the Chargers. Rome Adunze to the Cardinals. Drake May to the New England Patriots. Caleb Williams to the Commanders. Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Bears. I'm telling you, folks, the draft is not going to look like this at all.
Yeah, Olamuwaya finished.
Olamuwaya
finished. Or fashion. Yeah, fashion.
Gesundheit. All right. And so now we come to the Broncos, to which we sent that was you who sent McCarthy to the Broncos. And now we come to the Raiders at pick 13, and that's my pick, isn't it?
It is, correct.
All right. The Raiders are going to be very ecstatic to know that the quarterback they never thought would be around at number 13 is around, and they are going to happily snap him up like he is the greatest thing since high-value Bitcoin at a cheap price. And that person is someone who you would think would be ranked a lot higher on a number of boards, but he is ranked very high at the NFL Combine as I talk, and he is a favorite to be drafted, although I think it's a mistake that he's not throwing. He's not going to throw. I don't believe, unless he changes his mind. I think he's changed his mind at the last minute. But nonetheless, he is Jaden Daniels to the Raiders. The Raiders get their big play quarterback. And he will be a ticket generator. And he will be the offense that Luke Getsy wants to install. That's just like the one, well, but better, I would hope, than Justin Fields ran Chicago during the Bears. Because, of course, you know Raiders put in a offer. Did you know this, Bill? To get Justin Fields. What do you think, Bill?
I mean, he would obviously be a good fit for what if they are going to shift, to an offense he's already run. He'd be a good fit because he's already run it. That's always it's always good to find people who are familiar with what you're already doing. And once again, if they blow the doors off of what Ryan Poles is asking, and they give him everything he wants, I think he might pull the trigger on that deal.
Yeah. Well, this could happen. But
Right.
in the case, I think this will be an exciting development. I don't think it'll happen. I think the Patriots will get Daniels where you sent Drake May and right off into the sunset. But we'll see. That's why they play the game, or in this case, do the draft.
Yep.
Brings us to Pick 14 and the New York Saints. And why am I talking like this? Because the Saints are a horror story.
Yeah, the New Orleans Saints have some holes to fill, as you are aware.
Yep.
I believe
like negative cap. Ooh.
And to further exacerbate that issue, they do have some cap issues.
Dude, you talk about an injury-prone quarterback. Introducing Derek Carr. I mean, Bill, help me with this, man. What the blank is wrong with this organization that will not just simply say, you know what, we're going to give Jameis a chance. We did okay with Derek, but he was injury prone. Let's see. He had an ab problem. Let's see. He had a groin problem. Let's see. He had a foot problem. Let's see. He had a shoulder problem. Let's see. He had a wrist problem. All right. That's all in one season.
Right. And he played through a lot of that. But I think that
I think that's a hero thing. I think it's a stupid thing. I'm sorry.
Sure. I think that their approach will probably be to try to attack some of their interior line issues that allow some of those things to happen. They have no one thing right now they can really hang their hat on. Their running game is nothing super special. They don't have a dynamic passing attack, though they have had some good games. They weren't able to string them together consecutively for the most part. And their defense doesn't have any one thing about it that really jumps out at you either. So they're one of those teams that could use almost everything. But I think they're going to attack the interior of their defense. I think they're going to look at some rare talent in the defensive tackle spot. And so I think they're going to add Mr. Jerzon, a.k.a. Johnny Newton from University of Illinois, and toss him right there. And he gives you something they haven't had on the interior of their defense in a few years, that truly disruptive player who is explosive and disruptive, and most importantly, forces an offense to shift attention to him in a way that will free up other players. And being able to do that will now make some of the other players in their defense more productive.
So what do you think will happen with Winston?
I mean, they're clearly willing to listen to offers. And if they get the right offer, they'll probably move him.
But if they don't?
Then he stays. I mean, it's pretty simple.
It's basically a simple, it is a simple equation. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're going to say we want X, and if somebody meets that, then he moves. If someone says, no, we won't give you X, then it's say, cool.
Here's the question that I have to have answered. Do the Saints have to learn a new offensive technology because of their offensive coordinator? Or is their offensive coordinator learning a terminology that was installed by Sean Payton and Pete Carmichael? And here's why this is really important, because they just brought in Derek Carr. So you mean to tell me that on the face of it, looks like he's going to have to learn a second language in as many years?
Well, it's not the first time that's happened to him, as I'm sure you know. He's learned of several different systems all throughout his career. That's sort of the story of his career, really.
Well, no, I'm not. It's not. But that's not my point. My point is this: he's never been in a situation where, well, that's not quite true, but it really does underscore the point. Derek Carr, from when he came in 2014 to 2020, had the luxury of knowing one terminology, one, and it was even though they went from um, Jack Del Rio and Greg Olson, and then they brought in John Gruden. The essential terminology they used for the offense was remained unchanged. Then they brought in Josh McDaniels, and they went to the Patriots terminology, which is concept oriented
Right.
as opposed to man.
Correct.
It's Quizno, to use the Patriots version of it,
Sure.
and where you're calling out a whole
Right.
set of alignments, sub alignments like receiver formations within a play.
Yep.
It's a different way of thinking.
Right.
So then Carr has to adjust to that.
Yep.
And so then Carr leaves and goes to the Saints, which is a mix. If you've seen the terminology and I have the playbook, it's a mix of the two. It's a little Bill Walsh and a little Perkins Erhardt. It's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
So now here comes Mr. Kubiak going back to the Kyle Shanahan version of the Bill Walsh offense. All right. So think about it. That's three different terminologies he had 2020, then 2021, then 2022. All right. Oh, 2022 is his stable year. And then 2023 with the Saints. And now he's got to go with another one. And yeah, I know it's not that he's done it all the time, but my point is, gosh, no wonder his performance was off earlier in the year. And if he has to go through this all over again, who's to say his performance isn't going to be off toward the start of the year yet again? And then here's the other question. Who learns the fastest if they keep Jameis Winston? Winston or Carr? It is a very weird situation, man.
Sure. And
It spells instability.
right.
Sorry.
Well, the camp, right. I think you'll see in camp. That's what camp is for, right? To install. You'll see. I mean, if somebody distinguishes himself, really shows that they are picking anything up much faster than the other player, then that might change the dynamic of who's going to be getting most of the snaps. But one of the things that people like about Carr is he does pick up things quickly.
We'll see. Moving along from the Saints. Thank you for that, Bill, however. The Colts. Biggest needs. Defensive tackle, wide receiver, edge, cornerback, and linebacker. All right. So we had the Saints getting, John Newton, courtesy of Mr. Carroll, which leaves it to me for the Colts. And I believe that there is an unsung hero that'll be installed and will do wonders for the organization. And that person, actually, I believe, is on the Bill Carroll big board as Dallas Turner, the outside linebacker for Alabama. I am really excited about this guy.
He's not quite Will Anderson. He's a little step down from Will Anderson, but
well, see, I don't view Will Anderson as a linebacker. Will Anderson is an edge guy for me.
Well, I mean, they're both. That's true of him as well. I mean, he can drop a little bit. I mean, it dropped him at times, but he's essentially a pass rusher who stands up and can drop in coverage a little bit, but he's mostly a pass rusher. So, but like I say, he's not as far along as Will Anderson. Anderson was the guy that had a better sense of how to control people using his handwork and even more instinctive. But he's a good football player. He's a very solid football player, and he'll be able to contribute
This
right
guy
away.
flies to the ball, though. I mean,
Yeah, well, sure.
see ball, get ball. See ball, get ball. I like this guy for the Colts.
Yeah, he's a very good player. Yeah.
I liked him even better for the Texans, really. Um, 2 home wreckers. Why not 2 home wreckers when if you can have 2 rather than 1? But anyway, moving along. We should always have at least 1 home wrecker on your defense. Preferably 11. The Seahawks with needs a linebacker that they say needs. Now, Bill says you don't always have to focus on your need, but safety, edge, defensive tackle, inside offensive line, and linebacker. Bill, this falls to you.
Right. And so the other super, super disruptive, explosive D tackle that's going to come off the board now is Byron Murphy, the second from Texas. He and Newton are very close together in my mind. One slightly bigger than the other, one slightly more developed in terms of pass rush moves, but they're both extremely disruptive. They're both extremely explosive. They're both very difficult to block. And once again, one of the things I can tell you about what the Seahawks do in the evaluation process is they value explosiveness very highly. One of the things they really look at, even going back to high school, of all things, is how guys test in things like the medicine ball throw, and like there's a bunch of things they look at that they do at a lot of these high school camps and combines. And maybe it's how close they are to Nike headquarters. I don't know. But they really look at some of those things that, those explosive movement drills and things like that. They love that stuff. And Byron Murphy's super explosive.
All right. Byron Murphy is Seattle Seahawks defensive tackle, pick 16. Moving along in the third mock draft is Zennie 62 on YouTube. Welcome, viewers. The Jacksonville Jaguars with needs an edge, offensive guard, defensive tackle, wide receiver, and offensive tackle. Ooh. The trenches, in other words. And we come to me. So, me, when I take a look at the board and I consider the Jaguars' needs and versus best available, there is an interesting little development that I believe I cannot at all, particularly after what I saw today, let this man slip. He is from UCLA, Laitu Latu, Jaguars.
Yeah, he's a fun player. It's another fun player. Another guy who's fun to watch. Like we talked about a little bit with Penix, the biggest thing for him will be what happens when he goes to medicals. He's a guy who previously at one point in his career had medically retired from playing football. So he will need to come out of the medical process with a clean bill. But if he does, yeah, he'll go pretty early. He's, in terms of just array of pass rush moves, he's probably the most complete when it comes to just having the most different kinds of pass rush moves in the entire draft class.
Yeah. All right. So next we come to pick number 18. And the team ran by my friend. And I will just, without talking much about that, say Cincinnati Bengals. Wide receiver, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, tight end, and cornerback. And then I will tell this little bitty story. When I was working to try to bring the Super Bowl to Oakland, I went to my first NFL party, the Wilson Cocktail Party, at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare, not far from where Bill lives, on the 1st through the 3rd of November of the year 1999. And I met 3 people. The first person that I met, and I was waiting to get into the party for about 30 minutes before the party to start because we were already in the room, to which we had the room all up to ourselves to have a conversation, was the now late Bob McNair. And he had just spent $760 million to buy the franchise rights to establish what we now call the Houston Texans. And then when the party got started, I ended up sharing a table with a guy named Dean Spanos and a lady named Katie Blackburn. And those are the folks that I know to this day. And there's my little story. Katie Blackburn runs the Bengals. There we go. Okay. So, moving along. LA Rams.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yep, we're still waiting for the pick. Are you? If you're done, then I'll make the pick.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done talking.
Yeah. So,
I just forgot I was done talking.
Right. I think there's palpable
I had
excitement.
a body experience.
Yeah, I think there's palpable excitement about the fact that a lot of the players they really like are still available. They
Myself back to the Hyatt Regency O'Hare for that night. Sorry, Bill. I just came back.
got it. But I believe that there's one of those players that they really are high on and feel like he won't be there if they don't pick him now. I think it's going to be Terrion Arnold.
No!
Who can play corner or he can play nickel. So he's got that inside-outside capability.
Oof! Oh, my that'll make you nut. That'll make you lose your lunch. Good pick. Good pick. Good pick. Boy. The guy's like a weapon, man. Whew. It's a weapon of mass destruction at cornerback. There you go. Nice pick, Bill.
He's a good player. Yeah, he can do so many things well.
So now we get to number 19, the Rams, with biggest needs: edge, cornerback, linebacker, safety, and kicker. Well, that's a kick.
Yeah.
And it falls to me. Now, Bill, you don't have a kicker on your board, do you?
I mean, I do. Oh, I will. I mean, when I get into the mid 150s, you'll probably see one.
Well, then I'll wait until then. Okay, so in other words, there's nobody that's higher ranking than.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm just making sure. All right, cool. All right. Having said that, then, or having asked that, then, I will go with the player that I believe I want a hitter. I want somebody that's going to go in there and it's going to like mess the stuff up, you know?
Okay.
Somebody that's going to go down there and make them pay. Somebody like Nate Wiggins.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's made himself some money this weekend.
Yeah.
Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins was a really good football player, even before this, and he's been everywhere between 1 and 3 in my corner rankings at various points.
Mm-hmm.
He is a guy who has ball skills. He's not a spectacular tackler, but a solid tackler. But obviously, the thing that you saw and the thing that he brings to the table is that rare recovery speed. You know, he may get beaten. He doesn't stay beaten. He's really, 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 really fast.
All right. So Nate's to the Rams, and we go to the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 20. Yes.
And this is one of those picks that is not going to. Well, actually, you know what? It might change, but I think it will not. I think it'll probably still be the same. Yeah, I'm going to still with the same player. Once again, Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon. I feel like he's another one of those super safe players. He's another guy that's got basically darn near zero bust potential. He's a guy that really loves football. He's so solid as a human being and also has a high level of talent to go with it.
I wonder how many mocks have him going with the Steelers.
Probably some do, and then some probably have them taking a quarterback. Some have them taking, you know, probably a possible person to eventually replace Cam Hayward.
All right, so you've got now next in the order. The Dolphins with needs as inside offensive line, safety, wide receiver, defensive tackle, and tight end. And we come to, well, me. And I believe, yet again, that the Dolphins could use the services of a masterful, masterful wide receiver by the name of Keon Coleman of Florida State.
He's a fun watch. I fell in love with him when he was at Michigan State, and no offense to the quarterbacks at Michigan State, but the fact that he was productive in that offense told me everything I needed to know. He managed to overcome a great deal, is how I would put it, in the offense that he was in, and he's just a solid player.
Hey, we're at pick 21. We're getting down the stretch, folks. All right. So that's exciting, I think, for the pass happy Dolphins. And we come to the Eagles, home of the rich QB and the equally rich agent, home of the needs of wide receiver, running back, quarterback, edge, and linebacker, home of Rocky. The Eagles. What are you going to do with the Eagles, Bill?
Well, the Eagles going to lose some talent, right? They had a lot of great players that stayed with that team for a long time. But here's one thing I can tell you that they prize. They prize getting to the quarterback. And
Yeah.
they're going to realize that Jared Verse is staring them in the face, and they're going to say, we're not going to pass up Jared Verse. He is going to pair with, a bunch of they're getting younger at that position, right? They're going to move on from some of the older players, but you have, guys like Hassan Reddick. You have they just drafted just last year the other young kid, not Trenton Simpson, the other one. Simpson went to the Ravens, but the point is that they're getting young and fast at the pass rusher position, and you want young, fast pass rushers. And that's what Jared Verse is, and he's going to be in that pass rush mix. They're going to come at you in waves. They believe in depth and talent on defense, and they're going to bring both those things to the table. The Eagles are going to be a handful again next year, people, and Jared Verse is going to be part of that.
There we go, Jared Verse, folks. I wonder, though, if we didn't use the board and we took things out of sequence, maybe Jared Verse could have wound up going to Miami.
I mean, you could go a lot of places. But yeah, I think the marketplace on a guy like Verse starts somewhere in the late teens, maybe 17-ish, and continues till probably 25, 26. Somewhere in there he's going to go.
All right. So we've got now, in the order, the Texans at 23. And that comes to me. They have needs, right? But I'm going to go in a different way with the Texans. I'm going to pay attention to need. I'm going to pay attention to best athlete available.
Okay.
And best athlete available is really, if you take a look at this right now, is you could say Troy Fautanu of Washington. And I would say, or you could say, well, Tyler Guyton's gone, isn't he?
No, he's not.
Oh,
but he should go soon though.
Oh, he's going now. Tyler Guyton.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, called it, nailed it. Tyler Guyton, Houston Texans. Yeah, a big, effective, footworky technician of an offensive lineman. I'm excited about. What say you?
Yeah, there's a lot to like there. Could guys who are super quick give him trouble? Yes, they do. Super quick guys give him trouble, but super quick guys give a lot of people trouble. But when he gets his hands on you,
Bill?
but but when he gets his hands on you, I've seen him throw guys out of the club, right? Like a bouncer at a biker bar. He is he's got that edge, right? He's a guy that plays, with a little bit of edge. He likes making people feel him. And so he's probably more of a right side guy than a left side guy, and he could probably maybe even kick inside to guard. But he's got his some of his tape is super fun because you see him just really drive guys like out of the picture.
People don't realize how effective a nasty offensive lineman can be. I mean, a person that plays nasty. They're not a Conrad Noble type necessarily.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm thinking about a game I watched very recently, which was a game I hadn't seen in uh, about a decade plus, and that was the Dallas Cowboys visiting the Oakland Raiders. And so the Cowboys, I thought it was this, rightly this finesse team that shifts a lot before the snap, which they do. But when they stop shifting and they get in the position and the ball is snapped, the Cowboys under Tom Landry were a problem.
Yep.
And the main problem was the fact that they had great basic technique that was lethal. And they practically combined karate moves with standard traditional offensive line moves to really get you to go where you didn't want to go, even if you thought you were going where you wanted to go. And then sometimes they get a little bit like, okay, we're tired of this, let's just blow you off the ball. And meanwhile, you're saying, okay, they were in brown left, now they're in the I formation. Then they shifted over to, hey, maybe a power I with the tight end in the backfield. You're paying attention to all this, or you're getting calls to have you change from this to that. Next thing you know, they got you blocked. Yep. That I have still not effectively seen in the National Football League. What say you?
Well, here's the things that you have to remember about offensive line. You can create movement you can do it more than three ways, but three main ways, right? One is by shifting, motioning, as you said, things like that, pulling, trapping. You can influence players, you can flank players, or you can simply overpower players. Those are the three main ways that you can create movement as offensive line, right? You can flank them, you can influence them, or you can overpower. And then sometimes, as you said, some offenses will combine it and do all three, where they will influence you, overpower you, and flank you, sometimes all at the same time. When I think about the ballet of offensive line, I often go back to, the great Vincent Lombardi, himself a very fine offensive lineman. He was one of the 7 blocks of granite at Fordham, right, in his playing days. And despite being a very small guard, he was a very mobile and very effective guard when he was a player. And it never left him, right, that the understanding of the importance of syncing up and working in concert as an offensive line. And, of course, made his initial impact as a coach as an offensive line coach, and eventually an offensive coordinator, in fact, inventing the offensive coordinator role in his days under Jim Lee Howell with the Giants, and then eventually becoming, a great offensive coach and a pretty darn good talent evaluator. Of course, in those days, a lot of head coaches were GMs, and he was, essentially both general manager and head coach in his days with both the Packers, but also in his short but reasonably successful time in Washington. Unfortunately, of course, he became sick and passed pretty quickly, but from his time with Washington. But he could coach the finest points, and he was one of those guys that literally shrunk his offense over time, right? While other guys were expanding their offense, he would say, we're going to go from 22 plays to 17 plays. He was a guy that wanted to perfect fewer plays as opposed to developing more plays. He really thought that simplicity with precision was the way to go. So that Packer sweep could be run, it's one play, but it could be run 7 or 8 different ways, depending on what the defense does. So this converts from a hook block to a reach block, depending upon what this guy does. Okay, and now you as a center, instead of blocking this guy, you're blocking that guy. Now you're what we would now call duo blocking. with the guard on the 3 tech for 1/1000, and then for like a second and a half, and then now you're slipping out to the second level, or if the Mike linebacker comes, immediately you go and get him. Like there's all these different things, even though it's one play, the blocking scheme was set up in such a way to have all these options. So no matter what the defense did, the play can still be run effectively. If this guy jumps outside of me, we do it this way. If this guy jumps inside of me, we do it that way. There's all these different variations. So the deceptively simple Packer offense of the late 1960s was actually, despite the fact they have a very small number of actual plays, was actually extremely complex in terms of technique, even though the number of plays was small.
Now we come to the Dallas Cowboys at pick 24. Biggest needs: offensive tackle, running back, center, cornerback, linebacker. Some people would say quarterback, not me, but oh well. Some people would say wide receiver.
Some.
Some would say tight end. Lots of considerations for the Cowboys. Yep. Bill, you're up.
Well, one of the things that I do admire about Will McClay and the talent evaluators that they do have there, like there are things you can complain about, things you can nitpick, sure, but they do a very good job of identifying players that fit what they do. That's one thing I do admire about them. They do a pretty good job. I'd say very good job with it. And I think that they're going to look at this board and say, we're not going to go outside of who we are and what we do, but they do need to find their left tackle of the future. I believe that was one of the things you mentioned by need, and I think they're thrilled to find that there's a player there that they believe they'll see as that possible guy, and I think it's going to be Tyler Guyton. He's a guy that has worked his way up throughout the process, and was seen as probably a second rounder by a lot of people not that long ago. But when you look at a combination of his movement skills, his length, and while he can get stronger and should get stronger, and while I would like to see him play with more edge,
Tyler Guyton, he's gone.
Oh, well, then we're not getting Tyler Guyton. Then we're pivoting to
Tyler Guyton went to the Texans.
Okay, then we're pivoting to J.C. Latham from Alabama.
Yeah. Let me make sure I put that down here. Yep, Tyler Guyton just went to the Texans.
Went to the Texans, right? So wrong Texas team. Okay, so J.C. Latham, who is the other guy that I think could be a starting high-level tackle, who's still available at this point. There's a very, very talented. He's a talented young man, and obviously comes from a place where they really prize offensive line play. Everything that Alabama does is based on the trenches on both sides of the ball, or at least did. I mean, we'll see what the future holds. But
do you think that's the case in the future?
I don't think they'll go away from trying to build their team, in the trenches first. I think they'll still want to do that. And Coach DeBoer is a guy that has seen the effectiveness of having a strong line. So I think he'll continue, because Washington also did a good job in his time there building, both lines. So I think he'll continue to lean towards that.
All right. So Cowboys at 24 get J.C. Latham. Now we go to pick number 25 in the Green Bay Packers. The Packers fall to me. Safety, offensive tackle, cornerback, inside offensive lineman, and edge rusher are said to be their biggest needs. However, as a loyal fan of the NFL, watching the Packers as I have, I believe that one of the players they could really benefit from is, hey, wait a minute, you have Braylon Trice at quarterback from Washington?
No, I do not.
That's a miss.
Yeah, well, he's a defensive end / outside linebacker, obviously. Defensive end.
Okay, that's got to be adjusted, or I'll do that. I'll do it right now. Hold on a second. That's kind of jumped out at me. Because what I did was I copied and pasted your, list without.
Oh yeah, I got you.
The proper.
Right. I got you.
proofreading. Yeah, so hold on a second here. Gotta make this mid change fix. Gotta do this thing. Gotta do that thing. He's defensive lineman because he's the fastest guy. And you said,
well, I mean, he's not that he runs in the low 4.7s, low to mid 4.7s, which is fine. Some people are going to freak out, but I mean, I'll remind everyone if that while it's great to be super fast, look at the career of, say, Terrell Suggs. And obviously, there was a lot of Sturm and Drang and worry when he ran 4.88. It worked out okay. So he's fine. He's fine. And he'll put the weight back on, and he'll be fine. I'm not worried about it.
okay, let me see something here just for my own knowledge testing here. Braylon Trice is he is. Wait a second. Okay. Edge rusher.
Yeah, defensive end / outside linebacker. Yep.
All right, edge. Just want to make sure I've got to rewrite that. I put. There we go. DE. Got it. Okay. Correctamundo. Corrected. All right. So that is an update, and that is fixed. Yay. Yay for me in proofreading. Woo! All right. So we go put that over there. You the post. And then come back to back. To the Packers. Now, with respect to the Packers, I said I was going to give them, I was all set to, and I found that little error and I got tripped up. All right. So I'm not going to do that. But why not? You know what? Why not? Washington defensive end is Jerry Verse gone. Chop Robinson's still on the board. So is Keon Coleman. Guess what?
Wait, I could have sworn Keon Coleman's not still on the board.
No, he's not. He's not. But Chop Robinson is.
Yes, Chop is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to send him to the Packers.
I could see
that's Packers. He comes equipped with a nickname, so you don't have to worry about what happens when he does great things. You just go chop.
Yes. He comes ready to produce, and he's got a lot of qualities that I like.
In Lambeau, can you imagine 30 to 50 people at once yelling chop chop chop?
Yes.
And it's a sack from Chop Roberts, to which they yell chop chop chop. I mean, take that and multiply it times 50. What would that sound like? Think about that, man.
I mean, that's a fun thing to think about. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, roll that around in your head a couple hundred times. Chop chop chop. You know?
Yeah.
To which they would say, chop chop, Zennie. All right, I'm hurrying up. Okay. Hey, I made my pick. Chop chop to you. All right. Next, it's chop chop to Mr. Carroll and the Bucks at 26. In search of, among other things, a quarterback, wide receiver,
yep,
inside interior offensive line, safety,
right,
and edge.
Yep.
All right.
And they have a lot of options actually.
Mm-hmm.
There's the board has been fairly friendly to them, but I think they're about to say goodbye. To Mr. Mike Evans.
Yep.
And so, in order to fill that gap in their team, I see them bringing in Brian Thomas from Louisiana State University.
Whoa! Golly, man, there are a lot of big players around here, man.
Yep.
There's got to be some kind of record here. Oops! Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I don't want to do it like that. Why? Okay, try it again. Bucks. Now, where do you think Michael Evans is going?
Huh. Well, that's a fun discussion. I mean, The place that feels like a great fit to me is Kansas City. Now that would be obviously terrifying to the rest of the league if he should end up there. But think about it. He's a guy who's got tremendous personal accomplishments, and did get a chance obviously to get a Super Bowl in his time with Brady. I could see him.
Saints.
I mean, yes, um, but like if he's a guy who wants to try to get another Super Bowl before he retires, I don't know if the Saints would be at the top of his list.
Bears.
I mean, it's a possibility. As I said, I think he wants to get at least one more Super Bowl before he hangs it up.
Commanders.
Here's the places that make sense to me based on what I think he wants. He's a Texan by nature, a Houston area kid. I could see him wanting to go to the Texans and be close to home. And they're a team on the rise. They could conceivably get him back to a chance to get a ring.
Yep.
I mentioned Kansas City already. And in terms of places where they have a fair amount of cap space, right, the Bears have a lot of cap space. Now, whether he thinks they are a team that could be positioned to make a Super Bowl run, I'm not sure if that's what he sees when he looks at them. And I guess one other place I could mention, if the Rams are in the process of emerging, from their previous cap Hades, I think with some restructuring and moving around of a few things, they could be back to being in play for a guy like him. And once again, obviously they've got some teams to overcome out west, the 49ers being the most obvious one, but the Rams were better than people thought they'd be last year, and they're just one or two pieces away, the draft, and then maybe if they get a guy like this in free agency, that means they can concentrate on other positions like their offensive line and adding to their defense if they get a guy like, because you think about Puka Nacua, right? You think about so they are,
just kidding.
So and then you obviously you have in Cooper Kupp an elite wide receiver already. You have an emerging superstar in Puka Nacua. You throw into that same pile, a guy like Mike Evans, and it's just an endless series of problems. And the other team I'll throw in there, though he's not a guy that has really played in a lot of cold weather. I mean, he's played in some cold weather games, but he's a Texas area kid, Houston area kid who went to Tampa. But I could see a team like the Bills, maybe making a push for him because he'd be an upgrade, obviously, over. They're going to probably move on from Gabe Davis, but he'd be a significant upgrade over Davis. And then, you move up a guy like Khalil Shakur, and that's your three wide receiver rotation moving forward. So I could see that being another possible landing spot. And they're also a team that's very close to the Super Bowl.
Okay, so for the Cardinals, I'm sending them Troy Franklin.
Oh,
yeah,
they do like speed, and he's got that.
I'm not letting Franklin get out of the first round.
Sure,
Troy Franklin, not at all. That's just too much talent. And the Cardinals, to start things off, as we're looking at it in the order, as I like to say, order. We brought the world order. Is they already have Rome Odunze. So Rome Odunze is paired, think about it, with Troy Franklin. How about that?
Yeah, well, that's well, you fixed a position. Like there's at least one position on your team where you don't,
for 5 years.
Yeah, you should have at least that position set.
Yeah. Now they better have a scheme to go with these guys. If they don't, I'm gonna go down there, hire a team of 100 people, and we're gonna walk in and we're gonna take over the Cardinals. Mutiny, watch out. We's a decking. Just kidding. All right. Next, I'm only half kidding. There's a part of me that's serious. I will take them over. The Bills at 28. But me and 99 other people. Yeah, the posse. My posse. All right. The biggest needs for the Bills are defensive tackle, safety, edge, wide receiver, and cornerback. And the man who's at the helm is on the clock. That is you, Bill.
Yeah. So there's some really fun opportunities for them in this draft. And they're, once again, another one of those teams that's just a player or two away. When I think about the corners, is there one that's still? Yes, there is. So Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama, right? There is still an elite level corner available, and
injuries and all.
I mean, they found a broken bone in his foot, but he clearly apparently been playing on it. So what they'll probably do is they'll put a screw in it and allow the bone to form around that and heal. But
holy Band-Aid, Batman.
Assuming they do the surgery now-ish, he'll maybe miss rookie minicamp camp and things like that. But by the time they get to the latter part of training camp, he'll be good to go, and he'll probably play in maybe all but the first preseason game.
Hold on a second. I accidentally dropped the phone here. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. Bills get their person in well, hold on a second to make sure that I got that person down. Kool-Aid McKinstry. Got to plug Mr. McKinstry in.
Yes, yeah. Kool-Aid McKinstry.
McKinstry, sorry, Bills.
Yep.
McKinstry. There, folks. Kool-Aid. All right. Next, in the order, at pick 29, the Detroit Lions, and that falls to me. They have cornerback, offensive guard, edge, wide receiver, and defensive tackle. And this time, I'm going to go best athlete available in the order. And I think the best athlete available, you really have to take a look at it. And the kind of damage these guys do. There's a guy that, I cannot help but believe is going to make a gigantic difference for the Lions at the right position. He may very well be the, second coming of Aiden, but Texas Vondra Sweat.
Oh, yeah. That's another guy who's got some really fun tape. He is a fun guy to watch on tape.
Yeah.
And big guys are harder and harder to find because of, so many up-tempo offenses and the way that sort of the game is shifting. Those big guys are harder to find than ever, but he's one of them, and he's very talented.
Yep. Boom. That's going to get the Lions a monster defense. I'm telling you.
Yes.
That is significant.
That is correct.
Ecstatic wherever he goes. I want to see what he does. Ecstatic. Do you see the 49ers trading into the first round?
I mean, it's not impossible.
Who would they? Well, they have two organizations to trade with: the Bears.
Right, they have one possibility there.
Although I don't see what the Bears. I don't see why that's advantageous to the Bears, though.
Well, once again, it'd have to be a mind-boggling deal probably for them, especially within the division. The division,
I can't see that.
I'd be color me surprised. I guess.
Yeah, I can't see that. So next in the order, that's the last pick. Well, no, Ravens are next at 30. Yeah. Comes to you, Bill.
Yep.
Defensive guard, wide receiver, cornerback, and running back.
Yeah, and the Ravens are very much a best, player available kind of team. And I think that with what has happened, the injuries that have plagued their tackle position, I think they're going to address that position and They have a couple of options, but I think the one they will go with is young Mr. Amarius Mims from Georgia.
Oh, great choice. Great choice. Mims. 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 Say that like it's a siren song. Mims. Mims. Amarius. Mims. 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 Okay, there he is. Amarius Mims. Right here. Boom. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, I forgot to put the team in with him. Amarius Mims, Ravens. There. Mims. Mims. There we are. All right. And that brings us to the last pick. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Well, that was a lousy lead out, but whatever. The Chiefs, or as Andy Reid would say, the Chiefs. All right. Hey, by the way, the Chiefs are in the hands of Bill Carroll.
They are. And they are thrilled to see that one of the most explosive and fastest players in this draft class is still available to them, Mr. Xavier Worthy.
Time out. Did you send them Amarius Mims? That wasn't me.
I did.
This is my turn.
So it's your turn. It's your turn.
Yeah. Okay. Hog. Hold on a second. You want to control everything. All right. But he is right. Best athlete available tends to be the mantra. And but who will they take? Who's on the board that they could possibly want? Why not say that person will be Missouri's Darius? No. Wait a minute. Denzel Burke of Ohio State. Yeah. He should be a Raven. He's going to be he's good. He should be a Chief. He's going to be a Chief. Chiefs. Now, I know that's not the sexy pick to some, but it is to me.
And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. You have to. The only one has to be satisfied with it.
Extremely so. I want a guy I can put at corner. He can wreak havoc. And Denzel Burke is certainly that person who fills that bill. And if you look at him, number 10 out of Ohio State, he's 6'1", 190 pounds, big guy, and will be bigger than most of the receivers he faces. And his book, the book on him, among other things, is, well, go figure. He's a hitter. Like, have you ever heard of Ohio State defensive back that wasn't a hitter?
A couple, but well, you're right. Most of them have been.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I think of one that was a hitter, Jack Tatum. Ooh,
right. Yeah. Well, I mean, now obviously it's been a minute since we've seen Mr. Tatum, but yes, have there been a few sort of more, guys who are a little more finesse? Sure. I mean, the game has shifted, but they generally want a certain amount of toughness out of the position even now. Obviously not like the 70s or 60s, but still, yes. For the era, there's still a fairly good number of tough guys coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and he put a hit on Maryland receiver. Called an impressive performance in Ohio State's 37-17 win, and put a hurting on some people. Hey, that's not me using the term, okay, at all. That's not me using the term at all. He had 2 pass breakups, extending the number to his 22 in his career. 24. But then he had 2 plays, according to this account, that put him in elite company, and the most significant one coming in the 3rd quarter. And he lowered his shoulder on a tackle and sent his receiver to the ground. Tyrese Chambers had caught the ball and proceeded to cross the 40-yard line when that happened. And he said it was an inflicted hit similar to Denzel Ward's, inflicted as a Buckeye. And he said, he's in the kitchen, Denzel Burt. Reminds me of a kid named Denzel Ward. And he said, and basically, he makes plays like that. He gets people talking. Imagine this guy with the Chiefs against the Raiders. All right? Laying the wood on some people. And I'm a Raiders fan. Okay? Am I a little too excited? Okay, yeah. So what? Don't shoot me. An exciting mock draft. We had some very unusual, some might say even really unusual outcomes. What do you think of this?
Well, that's why you run these, right? As a franchise, as a exercise, is you want to get an idea of how you'll react if things go differently than you thought they would. And that's the whole point. You don't want it to be one way of looking at the board over and over again. You want to present to yourself 7, 8, 9, 10 different scenarios and know what you'll do if this happens, if that happens, if this team trades up, if this team trades down, if this team takes a player that we had no idea they were interested in. So that you are, no matter what happens, you have an answer. You have a response.
And it's not like we haven't attended drafts where there were outcomes that were just this side of like, what the blank, or what was that, or what did they just do and why, and all that stuff. And I recall one draft that produced such a reaction, and it was 2009. Okay, in fact, through the wonderful use of our network technology, I can pull it up real quick for grins and show what happened and what folks said during that time and everything else, including me. And it is right here. Boom. Let me go down here and get it. And then get rid of the ad, if I will, and skip it. And then turn up the volume. Oh, that's quick
rundown. Who's done well so far? Who's done well so far? Well, right here, I think the Texans made a good pick with Cushing. I think, I'm really happy the Jaguars got Monroe because they need offensive line help. I'm surprised that the Jets did move up and take Sanchez, but that's not a bad pick. That's just not too much money. The Jets are they're money tight.
All right, do it. I like number 10, San Francisco getting Crabtree, and I think Al Davis. I think he probably dropped the ball with Darius Hayward-Bay. Not to the Raiders.
Not that high. I mean, I had him somewhere 11 to 20. Okay, not in the top 10. But he's a good receiver. He'll fit in the Raiders scheme. The question is, like Dewey said earlier, will Jamal?
I had a third rounder on Darius Hayward-Bay.
What'd you say, Bill?
Yeah, I had a third round grade on Darius Hayward-Bay. So he looked beautiful, like his size and his speed and everything, but he never tracked the ball well. I mean, one of the big things you have to do as a receiver, especially as a deep threat wide receiver, is track the ball well, and he didn't.
Yep. Yeah. He did not. No. And so that was one. What other surprises were there that you remember?
I mean, well, as you mentioned, the trade up to get Sanchez wasn't a shock, but I did think they gave up a little. I mean, and once again, I didn't dislike Sanchez, but he seemed like the kind of guy that you sort of take him if he comes to you, he didn't seem like the kind of guy you manipulate the board to get to, right? He played well, but I didn't like him I'll stick to USC quarterbacks. I didn't like him as much as I liked Carson Palmer. Thinking about the USC quarterbacks I've seen, I mean, he was in that sort of Pat Hayden range where if he's surrounded by enough talent, he can produce, right? Pat Hayden, played on a team that was a national championship contender. Paul McDonald, right? He's sort of in that sort of mix. If there's enough talent surrounding him, he can produce. But he's not a guy that elevates the talent around him. That's the kind of guy to me that you move up to get to. Somebody who raises the level of the talent of the team. But Sanchez didn't do that at USC. I don't know why you would think he would do that in the NFL.
And then there was some other interesting ones, like, remember Johnny Manziel on the Money cell phone video?
That was one that I called. Plus, I knew stuff about what he was up to in college, and I had him practically off my board. But I would have taken a late third round flyer on him maybe, but everything I knew about him told me no, this is not a guy you take early.
Here it is.
I can't hear you. There's too much money in my fucking head. I can't hear you. I'll call you back.
We'll call you back.
100.
That video.
Okay, there was one. Bill, here's the other one that I'll never forget because of where I was when it happened. And this sticks out in my mind as the preeminent. All right here. Okay.
I brought in one of our first. Hey, everyone. Our research department tells me that this is the best performing mid-ad ever. I'm
right here.
Waiting for Jared Goff to come out here in the media interview room, and Ian Rappaport of NFL Network announced that one possible reason that Larry A.B. Tunsil, the Ole Miss offensive tackle, has fallen from his original position of number one is a video that someone posted on his Twitter account of him taking a bong hit, which is kind of like, a lot of people in this room who've done that. But the bottom line is he's dropping and continues to drop, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, see, here's what I knew.
Hey, Bill, that was paced only by this video, okay, right here, that was seen 403,000 times. Right here.
How do you feel?
I'm good, man. I'm excited just to be in this position, man. Blessed just to be a part of the Miami Dolphins organization, man. I couldn't ask for nothing else. Walking across that stage, man, I'm very excited, man, just to take the commission ahead. I'm blessed.
So talk to us. What the heck happened with that whole video and everything, man?
Man, somebody hacked my account, man. I made that mistake, several years ago. And somehow somebody got my photos and hacked my Twitter account. And apparently somebody just hacked my Instagram account. So, man, it's getting crazy. Yeah, I can't control it, man. Whatever I control it.
Have you seen the Instagram photos that are out there on your account?
I just did an interview with ESPN on the radio, man. They just told me just 5 minutes ago. So
Are those conversations that you had with John Miller and with Hugh Freeze? Are they
right? Like I said, I made a mistake, a huge mistake. Things happen. I can't control things. Who get in my phone and hacking my Instagram, my Twitter, man. I'm just happy just to be a part of the Miami Dolphins organization. Blessed to be here.
What do you have to say to the teams that passed that point?
Like I said, man, just give me a chip on my shoulder when I get to the league, man. Play hard. I'm here with Miami Dolphins.
He almost came to blows. He almost hit a reporter in this video. Watch this, man.
I'm new to this.
Can you take us through that? When you got in the green room, you found out what had gone on Twitter. Take us through the hour up until when you got drafted by the Dolphins, your feelings, your thoughts as that was going on.
Man, I was just happy just to be in the green room, man. It was silent, but I'm happy for everybody who went above me. Like I said, man, it gave me a chip on my shoulder to get in the league, man. It just made me play.
Yeah, from Florida, how happy are you to be going back?
Oh, man, I'm just I'm happy. No, I was just playing, but like I said, I'm blessed just to be anywhere. Like I said, just blessed just to be a part of the organization.
Did you Miami City?
They said you're excited to have me, man. So I'm happy. So I'm excited, man.
So
So was there an exchange of money between you and your coach as your Instagram photos?
No, I won't say all that. I won't say that.
So were you surprised at how far you fell, or did you have conversations with anyone where they said like, hey, you might slide because of what happened? Was that something you were expecting?
I mean, like I said, somebody hacked my account, and I was just preparing for the worst, man. Like I said, I'm just blessed just to be in this position.
And you got the word while you were in the green room, right? So this hit you like a ton of bricks. You're sitting there and you're thinking, yeah, great, and all of a sudden,
right? It's crazy.
So not only did someone hack your account, but they doctored those messages.
Exactly.
You're saying those messages were not messages?
Oh, the message you talking about from no, those true. Like I said, I made a mistake of that happening. That happened.
So was it an exchange between you and your coach for money?
I have to say, yeah.
Larry, how many people have your password to your Twitter account?
Man, I just have my password. That's my password. I don't know how they got out, but it happens.
Has anyone talked to you about how to be prepared to have a thick skin, tall, skinny, and transgender from this?
Nah, man, like I said, I'm just happy just to be here. Just to be a part of my organization.
Larry, one thing you can't control as a pro is who you keep around you. Does all this give you some kind of a lesson in that regard?
Man, you can't trust everybody. Like I said, I don't know who did it. I don't know what happened, but like I said, I'm blessed.
Have you talked to the NCAA at all in this investigation? Have they talked to you about?
He's got no more comments. I'm sorry. Thank you guys so
This
much.
lady comes out and says no more comments. At this point, he's going toward this guy.
He didn't say anything. This all happened while he was up here.
Yeah. And then he's like,
Okay, check this out. This chocolate literally fragments fat cells into tiny pieces and flushes them out of your body so quickly.
So anyway, there was a guy, a reporter
Waiting for jerk.
that I thought he was gonna just go and throw down on the dude. He was not happy with that gentleman. I mean, not happy.
Well, the irony to me is that anybody who did their homework would know that Johnny Manziel did stuff way worse than that.
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel, by the time he was in his senior year of high school, was misusing Adderall on a regular basis and had tried cocaine. Forget weed.
Yeah, dude, I beat the NFL. The NFL, of all the Larry Tunsil videos, mine was almost 500,000. The next one was the NFL at 43,000. Who wins? The Zennie 62 Media. Ding! And all the people, Bill, that use this video up here for their articles, do you realize not one of them, there were 10, not one used my name as credit? Not one. And if I were white, they would have, because I tracked it. They did not want to give me credit at all. Even had Deadspin use it, and then they made a post about me complaining about them, saying that I needed to learn the internet. I said, yeah, I know the internet. It says don't steal without attribution. I could have done a DMCA takedown right there. I could have said, hey, you know what? Take that crap off. And
probably should have, actually.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. DMCA copyright law was in its infancy then. Now it's more mature. So under today's rules, I could probably still do it. So anyway, it was a wild and sad story. And I think counts as number one surprise of all the drafts that we've covered to date. And the neat thing about it is because we do it this way, I got it on video.
I mean, I think there have been some. I think maybe one of the biggest surprise moments I can remember is when at the very tail end of the third round compensatories, when guys are literally packing up, leaving. They heard that the Denver Broncos had selected Maurice Claret, and of course there have been all these stories circulating that he might not get drafted and all this other stuff. And so you saw all the a lot of people from like USA Today and Sports Illustrated, whatever, who were in the process literally of leaving, suddenly turn around, run back, unpack their laptops. That was one Oh yeah, that was one that was one of those big moments where everybody suddenly had to change what they were doing and go in a different direction.
Any predictions for tomorrow? But you know what? We'll be back for tomorrow.
I
Just to,
don't think anybody's going to be able to best Wiggins' time, but we'll see at least two or three more guys in that 4.31 to about 4.39. They'll be about I think the running backs are all 4.4 guys. Like the fastest running back will probably be maybe Jawar Jordan from Louisville, probably come in about 4.44 maybe.
yeah.
It's a good running back group, but not blazing fast. Now, last year you had some super fast guys. Devin Shane was crazy, stupid, ridiculous fast. Keaton Mitchell from East Carolina was crazy, stupid, ridiculous fast.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody like that in the running back class. There's fast, but not that kind of fast. I'm excited about what we'll see from some of the more athletic wide receivers. Obviously, I don't think all the receivers are doing everything. I think some of them are doing almost nothing. I know JJ McCarthy won't be doing a full workout because he's still nursing a slight hamstring injury.
I'm excited to see Penix.
And the top two quarterbacks aren't throwing, as you already mentioned. But I'll be interested to see how Penix looks. And for him, the big thing's medicals. That's really the big.
I think Penix is better than May. So I don't consider May a top quarterback. I'm sorry, I just can't wrap my mind around that concept after watching him. I just can't. So, there we go.
Right. Well, nevertheless, the top two guys, the consensus top two guys aren't throwing, but it'll be interesting to see who, sort of emerges out of the group that will be throwing, who sort of, lights it up and gets some oohs and ahs going, and then the athletic testing will be very interesting because there's some very athletic quarterbacks in the group as well. And like I said, maybe one of the running backs, like maybe Braylon Allen or somebody, will do something that really sort of puts them back on the map. Braylon Allen had a fantastic year the year before, and it wasn't really any fault of his. Just Wisconsin wasn't as good, so he had kind of a down year because Wisconsin wasn't as good as a team. And once again, the quarterback play, they just can't figure out the quarterback position at Wisconsin. But think hard. The last time they had a quarterback who was a legitimate, like, real pro prospect, it was a guy who was a grad transfer from NC State named Russell Carrington Wilson. Then you got to go back a ways to, like, I don't know, Brooks Bollinger or something to find even a guy who was a good backup amongst Wisconsin quarterbacks. What's his name? He used to he backed up Sorgi, right? Mm-hmm. Jim Sorgi. But I mean, those are the highlights amongst guys who actually were recruited to Wisconsin amongst recent quarterbacks. So yeah, they're struggled mightily at that position. So they got to figure that out. Good luck. Good luck to the coaching staff there. But I'm excited about seeing how the quarterbacks who do throw, which of them, looks the sharpest, and then if one or two of the running backs can maybe be a pleasant surprise. Maybe Trey Benson has a fantastic day. Maybe Aldrick Estime runs fast. He doesn't look super fast, so maybe he runs faster than expected and helps himself. Obviously, unfortunately, Jonathan Brooks is another guy who had an injury during the season that'll prevent him from being able to work out. But amongst the other running backs, I want to see who maybe breaks away from the pack, because there's no real consensus number one running back.
All right, Mr. Carroll. Hey, thanks a lot, man.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. 2 hours and 23 minutes of scintillating fun and recaps of a great history. Possible only because Zennie 62 Media was the first ever to use a YouTube video and cover the 2006 NFL Draft with it. And look at us now, Bill.
Look at us now.
Yeah, broke. That'll change. Not broke like we're in debt, but I'm just saying we need a great sponsor and something to reflect the wonderful history and great content we have that's part of history. All this stuff is part of history, folks. This doesn't, this stuff is really deep part of history. There's things here I haven't even shown you. Like, for example, my famous interview with Taylor Lewan, where I asked him, how it felt to be compared with folks like Conrad Dobler, and who's that guy that had the mean temper that was written up as being a nutcase?
I mean, you could mean Wisniewski, you could mean Incognito. There've been a lot of those.
Incognito, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You ever see that video, Bill?
I don't know, maybe.
Let me show you real quick before we jet out of here. It is worth a recap, folks. It really is. If only because, well, it's worth a recap. I'll say it just like that. All right. Titans. Here is not that one. Sorry. I'll scroll down and down and down and down and down. Is it scroll down or so I scroll up? And Taylor Lewan, Dory Jackson. Where's I'm going the wrong way. Malik Willis. In the suit. There he is, in the suit, right here. Taylor Lewan.
I still remember the suit he wore. I still remember he had a very distinctive outfit at the draft.
Yeah, right here. Sponsored by Courtyard by Marriott, folks. The tallest hotel in the United States gave us 2 free room nights. The Courtyard, New York, Manhattan, Central Park, 1717 Broadway, to which I again say thank you. Here we go.
Taylor Lewan, Tennessee Titans.
And folks, the reason for the whistles is I had it on YouTube and stream. I was using something called Spreecast, started by the same guy that started StubHub, Jeff Floor, when I did this.
There you go. All right. Hey, congratulations. Yeah. Hey, did Adam Levine ever give you that golf swing grab the other day with Adam Levine? Yeah. You should have brought that out with you.
Oh, jeez. I swing real hard, but it never goes anywhere.
What did they say to you when you answered the phone?
Honestly, I didn't hear anything. I think as soon as it rang, I kind of blacked out for a second and stared at it, and then picked it up. Checked the Titans, and I was like, no real says this number, so that's good. And it's kind of a blur, honestly. And I hear my name getting called while I'm in the middle of the conversation. My mom's crying to the left of me, and it was just a completely surreal feeling. Just to be a part of it, and to even be sitting in front of you all right now, this is absolutely a dream come true.
Talking about working out and
Folks, look how quiet everybody else is. It's like afraid to talk to you. I want to see.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much I can.
To set the stage here, he was arrested the fall before the draft for assault on an Ohio State player after their loss to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. It was then called the Big Ten. But in spite of all that and everything else, they acted like nothing happened. The point I was making was that he had been, and Bill, you have to agree, I'm right here. Had he been black, what's the first thing they would have asked him about?
Well, the 2 things. One is he would have slid further, probably.
Yep.
And yes, you would hear more character questions. With Lewan, they turned it into, he's a tough guy. He plays with a lot of edge. He's a aggressive guy. Blah blah blah. Not too many people implied that he was a bad kid, right? People just implied that he had a lot of edge and he was tough and he was gritty and he was. So yeah, there's still. I mean, we're very much aware that there's still a difference in the way that the media spins certain things, and even the talent evaluation, and even the talent evaluation process is still not entirely even-handed. So there are, once again, if Johnny Manziel had been black, I can't even imagine the things you would have heard. But I knew that stuff. I knew about the stuff back to stuff he was doing in high school, and about what Uncle Nate was procuring for him while he was at Texas A&M. I mean, I can't imagine how differently things would have gone if he'd been black. I mean, Johnny Manziel's an excellent example of the proof of white privilege.
And shall we continue?
Not just for him, but the veterans that are there coming in, learning how they've been there for so long and what they've done to be successful, and take those things and turn them to my own tools as well. There's being rookie and not even really a rookie yet, and this guy's still in limbo. There's so much opportunity to be successful being around those kinds of people.
When you think of the Tennessee Titans, what comes to mind?
A great organization that's this close to being successful, just this close to doing what they really want, and also you think about the town. I mean, it's I'm a cowboy boots and jeans kind of guy, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Do you follow country music?
Oh, absolutely. Country's my guy.
Okay.
Not necessarily know him, but I know of him. I love him.
So that means you know about Nashville then. What do you think of Nashville?
I think it's a great city. I've only been there twice. So I drove through once, and then I flew in there to have a meeting with them. But the whole place is awesome, and like I said, I'm ecstatic.
You know Taylor Swift lives there.
Does she?
Yes.
I'm sure we're talking about this. It'll be good.
Be careful, don't you?
Coming into the AFC South, you know, they have quite a bit of a number of good pass rushers in there. J.J. Watt now, Javion Clowney will be there. Robert Mathis. How do you feel about going up against that top competition?
That's what I want to go against. I don't want to, I want to go against the best and be in the NFL. Everyone is the best of the best. So I'm excited. I can't wait for the opportunity to get around those guys and learn the culture of being a Titan. And it's, like I said, really a dream come true. And, Sundays it's going to be such a crazy feeling right now for the first time.
When you think of the long lineage for the offensive line, especially tackles, I know you're not pressuring yourself, but pride yourself on really snap your legs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I went to Michigan. Jake Long, John Jensen, Steve Hutchinson, those guys have done so much for the University of Michigan that I hadn't even started to do. And, being even mentioned as a great offensive lineman at Michigan is just, it's completely humbling because, you kind of feel you haven't really done that much and everyone's looking at the line as if you did. And, like I said, those guys are not only great players and are legends at Michigan, but also great guys. I know that Steve Hutchinson played at Nashville. I'm definitely going to get on the phone with him eventually and talk to him about that tradition and everything and learn from him. So I'm not here to, be this arrogant guy that wants to kick the door down and say, hey, Taylor's here. I want to learn from these people that have been successful, that want to do it, have been doing it right the first time, so I can learn and also do things right the first time.
Michigan's an excellent school academically. What did you study there?
I was a BGS major.
What is that? BGS?
Bachelor of General Studies. So I'm a jack of all trades.
Wait, but what did you focus on? Because I was General Studies at Texas Arlington, but I focused it on urban economics. So did you focus?
It was like,
you can do that.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay, did you find because of the time your football work that took away from maybe wanting to study something else?
I knew from the minute I was watching the Michigan, I wanted to play football. That's what I wanted to do. Obviously, academics are extremely important. I'm not taking anything away from that at all. But my main focus is, I want to be successful. I want to be a pro athlete. I want to be a first-round pick. And all my spare time, if I had to choose, I would obviously pick football. And the reason why is
I guess what I'm getting at is your fellow Big Ten school, Northwestern. We know what's going on there. I'm thinking about your teammates who are not going to be in the NFL. Do you think that really they should be compensated because they bring a lot of revenue into the school?
I don't know enough about that situation to even dive into it or give an opinion because honestly, as of right now, I don't have an opinion. I know a lot of these guys, King Coulter, he's a great guy, Jeremy at IMG. A lot of those players, probably a lot of things that these guys deserve. But there's a reason for everything. There's a reason why the NCAA does things a certain way. Because, obviously,
money. That's why they do it a certain way.
Yeah, obviously, if players are upset about something, then they should be listened to. But like I said, I don't know enough about the situation to even dive into that right now.
Who do you want to party pair in your play after? Because you've got a nasty streak. Some people thought the Raiders were going to pick you up, but your thoughts? Who's
the Raiders got picking you?
Well, no, your style of play.
My style of play personally is I like to be as consistent as possible and go through the whistle. Put guys in the dirt and wear guys down toward the fourth quarter. They want to be a part of that.
Oh.
I don't have a glue.
Wait, this sounds like Richie Incognito, man. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's we got a really dang thing over here. I don't know if this is zombie. that's all. He's sweet guy. As an artist, you need to have a little bit of tenacity about you. You need to be, a little disruptive once in a while on the field. So my job is to put my quarterback in a position to be successful and give my running back an opportunity to gain yards. It's not about me. I don't have a glorified position. I like to get my hands dirty on the field. That's just who I am when I'm on between the lines. But as far as that whole situation, I'm not being touched.
No, that wasn't.
No. Lovely camera you have, by the way.
All right. Hey, I'm on my head. It looks better, right? It's like that.
I really appreciate everything you do, Joe.
Thank you.
Up next, Eric Ebron of the
Hey, Bill, I did not let him off the hook. What do you say about that?
I mean, I've gotten to know Taylor Lewan a little bit. I don't think he's a bad person, but yeah, he definitely had a temper.
Yeah.
If you watched him play.
But you see how the room changed, though, when I brought it up? It's like all this, softball stuff and everything, and then it's like, oh, he went there. Oh, he went there. I'm like, come on, man. Seriously? And then, like, the minute, I think it was, I forgot the young man's name, that came literally behind him, and I think he's on here. Adoree Jackson. Yeah, I think it was Adoree Jackson. And I think he got arrested or something.
Congratulations. How do you feel?
Teammates. Future teammates.
Thank you, and it's just a blessing. I feel really
They were teammates with the Titans.
and to be the great organization that will allow me to be me and play my type of game. So I'm thankful to be a part of this team and just thankful to be here this morning.
Who called you when you got the call? Who is it you talked to?
I talked to the GM and he gave me a call. And it's funny, when the phone rang, I picked it up. I said hello. I didn't hear anything for 4 seconds. I was like, oh, maybe they called me on God. I pulled the phone off the ear, and then I heard him say something. I was like, how you doing? And then 4 more seconds later, he still didn't say anything. So I'm like, okay, something going on with the phone. And we had a good talk, and he was asking me if I wanted to talk, and I said, oh, of course. I mean, I got no choice. I'm ready to get to work. That's what I told him, and yeah, that's probably the best phone call I ever had in a while.
What kind of players are the Titans getting? What kind of player is the Titans getting?
The Titans are good players that work hard and try to be a team first and do everything for the team as possible or as needed. So I'm just going to go out there, work hard, just be myself, not try to be anybody else. That's one of the things that I've learned. Once you're trying to build a different reputation, you don't be yourself, and people they can see through that. So I'm just going to be myself, go out there, have fun, and try to be a brother, learn as much as possible. As soon as I get through this, I'm going to try to hit all the DBs, just to get out of their names. I know that they don't want to see me fail, and I'm in that position to go out there in the game and really see me do well. So I just want to make sure I'm going to get on the same repertoire with everybody and just get ready to work.
Adoree, Christian got to paid. You went, and then you broke up your sprint. I think it says about versatile players. Also, versatile guys who can do a lot of things.
I think it says a lot about.
Anyway, that occurred in 2017, folks. But anyway, because Taylor was just a few years earlier than that, and this wasn't the one I was thinking about, because this was 6 years ago. Taylor was 9 years ago. This happened at the same NFL draft, so I'm not going to bother with that. Just in the interest of time and getting out of here. Bill, you out? I think Bill was about to sign off. He is doing something. So I am going to go solo, because we've already done things, and say, okay, well, that's him solo, not me. Let's go back to this. At any rate, I'll go solo and say, hey, thanks for joining us, folks, and we'll be back tomorrow for another 2 hours of discussions regarding the NFL draft. And thanks, Bill. You got any parting shots? Or you had to go?
No, I mean, I'm just trying to get caught up on whatever I missed regarding the combine. But the main thing to keep in mind, one, is that most of what you're hearing is not true, right? At this point, some of you hear, oh, so-and-so's shooting up the board, so-and-so's falling. No, almost none of that is true. If I've learned nothing else over the many years I've dealt with this, is that most of what you're hearing is simply not true. Players are where they were on most teams' boards now as the same as were 2 or 3 months ago. The only exceptions is if something off the field that's fairly serious emerges, an injury is discovered, particularly one that's fairly serious, or a player so greatly exceeds in terms of their greatly exceeds expectations that it makes them go back and look. But even then, that's usually a slight movement. None of these players are new to the evaluators. They might be new to the media people, they might be new to the fans, but these players have been being watched in some cases multiple years by evaluators. So there's nothing that's going to happen at this point in the game that causes a wide variance over where they were seen before. Mostly it's small incremental movements. So no one's rocketing up or plummeting, with the exceptions of some serious character / off the field stuff coming out that wasn't known before, or something really bad medically coming out.
Or that surprising bong hit.
I mean, that kind of thing, right? I said serious off the field, right? I mean, that's what I just said.
Yeah. All right, Bill. Oh, sorry.
Nothing. I'm saying that nothing, even a great day at the combine or a terrible day at the combine, doesn't move somebody a round or 2 rounds. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, thanks, Bill. See you later. Okay.
Yep.
That ends this stream.